Hi, I'm Bill Mounce, and I will be your teacher through the 52 major stories of the Bible. This class came out of my deep concern for the whole issue of biblical literacy in the church. It is amazing to me how many people know so little about the Bible, and I want to help move them to literacy. But literacy isn't a very high standard, so especially for those of you who do know the Bible, I want to help you move on to biblical maturity. And so we picked these 52 stories to do precisely that. There's 26 Old Testament stories and 26 New Testament stories. It was really hard to get it down to 52. I actually had to go to some of my Old Testament buddies and say, you got to help me pare the Old Testament down to 26. And it was hard, but these are the 52 that we feel are the most important stories. Because what they're going to do is that they're going to give you the structure of the Bible. They're going to take you from Genesis 1 to the end of Revelation, and they're going to paint this broad stroke picture of what the Bible is all about. But these stories will also teach you theology. They will teach you themes, and they will also introduce you to the characters, to the players in the Bible. So these 52 stories are very, very important. You know, stories have two advantages. One is that they're really cross-cultural at every level. Young people and old people can enjoy the same story. People who have been Christians for many years versus people that are brand new Christians or not even Christians can learn. They cross geographical lines where people in the U.S. and people in China can equally learn from these stories. The stories are very powerful as a teaching tool. But the other thing about stories that I really like is that they have a point. I know sometimes you might hear stories and they stop at that, but you have to move on because the stories have a point. Haddon Robinson used to teach us to ask the question, what's the big idea? What's the big idea of the story? And so I'll spend about half of the talk retelling the story, kind of filling in some theological or historical or cultural details. And then about half of each lesson is me trying to say, here's the point. And in biblical training, we like the head, heart, hands idea that a lot of people are using. The head is the data, it's the content, and the content's really important. You can't be like Jesus unless you know what Jesus was like, right? So you have to know the content, you have to learn the Bible. The third H is hands. You have to apply. It's not enough just simply to know the information, you have to do something with it. But what we've discovered is that it's that middle H, the heart, that's so critical. And in the heart stage, what we do is ask the question of character. Okay, now that you know the story, what do you learn about the character of God? What do you learn about your own character? What do you learn about the character of others? And it's really only until you've done that, then you can then move on to really effective application in the hands stage. So head, heart, hands. Stories have a point, and you need to come to understand what that point is. We've worked really hard at Biblical Training to fill out this particular class. So there's a student guide, and you can download it for free if you like. If you want to print a copy, you can buy it as well. But we've also included my notes, handouts, overheads, everything that we could think of that would help you as an individual or you as a group or even pastors to work through these 52 stories. 52 stories works in a lot of different venues, but I would really encourage you to do it in your small groups. Now, you'll probably, if you're going to do it in a small group, you probably have to extend it over a 2-year period, but it's really important in a small group setting where you have friends, where you can process the information, you can ask the questions, you can say, okay, what did you learn about the character of God, and how will that affect how I live tomorrow? That stuff really works best in community. And so we really encourage small groups to use this material. But finally, please finish them. Don't start at Genesis and end somewhere in the Old Testament. You need to get to the end. You need to get to the end of time. You need to get to Revelation. And we really encourage you to make a commitment as an individual again, or as groups, or as a pastor, to work all the way through all 52 stories and not only become biblically literate, but become biblically mature, growing up in Christ. We hope you enjoy using them as much as we enjoyed creating them. Thanks.